Welcome, everybody, to episode 2 of our Trojan Conquest Live. Once again, you diehard Trojans asked for it. Here it is. This is our off-season show. Usually we do our post-season show with Tony, but I'm not here today. He's working on some other stuff, but I do have here Rick with me. Our show has always been about you guys. It's about the viewers, especially you guys, the Trojan family. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, this is about you guys. We welcome your questions, your comments, and then later on, we're going to be taking some live phone calls. And anytime during the broadcast, if you would like to drop us a comment, we might wait to the end, but if it's on topic, we'll hit it right away. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start the tailgate. How you doing, Rick?
Hey, I'm doing great, Tim. Hope you had a great weekend. Hello to all our viewers. Thanks for tuning in. And let's talk some more USC football. It is the off season. It's Selection Sunday, and looks like the selection committee was spot on by having us paired up with Michigan State in Columbus, Ohio. So already making our inroads to Big Ten country. That should be a great game against Izzo and his Sparty crew on Friday. I think it's 9:10 a.m. Pacific. So Trojans made it to the dance.
Yeah, I do like that. I mean, I guess maybe the early exit from the tournament and the Pac-12 tournament might be beneficial because that way, if you're a 11-10 seed, you're gonna possibly skip that visit in the early on the Sweet 16 matchup with a number 1 seed. So this way, when we go Sweet 16, we might be looking possibly probably Kansas State. So let's just see. Let's one game at a time, right, Rick? Let's see how well we do.
One game at a time. Hey, that's our basketball talk.
Yeah, we'll get off basketball. All right.
We'll be tuning in on Friday, and best of luck to the Trojans and Andy Enfield's crew. It's been a great season. I know you've been to several games this year, Tim. So let's hope they can make it through the weekend, Sweet 16. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, man. They're handing these out. Mike, Harold Miner. I grabbed this. Yep, love it. Love the basketball team. Okay, yeah. So let's start it then. Let's start the tailgate. Let's just jump in.
Well, let's talk about what's happening in terms of the latest news. We heard Eric Gentry had off-season surgery, and he will not be participating in spring ball, which I think that's a great thing. I think Lincoln Riley mentioned they tried to let his ankle heal up to see if he wouldn't need surgery, but he did, and that's fine. That's a great thing. He'll be I'm sure he'll be into the playbook. He'll be watching film as he rehabs, and it gives the other linebackers in the room extra reps. Some guys like Rajon Davis, who I know the coaching staff will be wanting to look at, also gives them time to look at Tackett Curtis, the highly ranked linebacker recruit, obviously out of Manny, Louisiana, and Shane Lee will be getting his reps, and also Mason Cobb out of Oklahoma State. I'm really excited to see this guy. Kid is stout, 96 tackles last year. So, let's see Gentry get healed. What are your thoughts on his surgery and what we have in the linebacker room coming online, Tim?
Yeah, people are giving, I guess, the staff and maybe even questioning Gentry. I've heard some crazy, the internet message boards, what you do, but I heard some cooler minds prevail and talk about the fact that he was nursing that. He was a warrior. Anyone remembers that game he got hurt, right? Against Utah. He ran out onto the field to try to rally his guys, get them going, and then just bounce back off. I mean, I don't think I'll ever forget that scene. So I'm never going to question this guy's work ethic or his guts. And other people were talking about the fact, even if he hadn't got the surgery, so he's been rehabbing it, but even if he was able to heal on his own without the surgery, most likely he would have been sitting out the spring ball anyway, because you want to give that time to heal. Joints, ankle injuries, man, those high ankle sprains, those things can linger and cause issues. I'm not sure exactly what is exactly wrong with his ankle, but clearly they want to clean whatever's going on there. They want to clean it up and get him ready for fall camp, right, and the summer practices. Well, speaking of linebackers, there was some news recently. Jordan Lockhart, 6'3", 230-pound linebacker from my alma mater, St. John Bosco, recently decommitted from Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and is now back on the market. So all the people out there worried about the fact that, Lincoln Riley doesn't care about defense, what's our defense going to look like going forward? This guy's an absolute stud. So hang tight. Just because he's opened up his commit or he decommitted doesn't mean he's coming to USC, but I really do think we have a good chance for him.
Yeah, I mean,
one thing also, really quickly hitting on the Bosco thing, I would like to turn around this trend that we have going on with St. John Bosco. It breaks my heart that some of the alumni from my high school are deciding that they don't want to stay in Southern California, and I'm not going to name their school, but a lot of them are going up north. We've had guys, big linemen stuff, go up to Ohio State. We've lost quarterbacks to Clemson and receivers to Clemson. So a receiver to Clemson, and I'd really like to see this trend turn around. What do you think, Rick?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously St. John Bosco, we haven't had a number of recruits from there compared to other schools that we've seen in Southern California in the past, such as Mater Dei, such as Sarah at Gardena. And I think Jordan Lockhart, his brother was at Ole Miss. He was committed to Ole Miss. It is a linebacker. Would be a big recruiting get for USC if we can keep him home. And I trust that Brian Odom, much like he did with bringing in Tackett Curtis, that would be obviously a target for USC, and hopefully make inroads in the future because they have a stacked linebacker room there as well. And they have a number of recruits that are in their program, and you can kind of see it now in Southern California. It's totally different here with recruiting and, basically similar to the transfer portal where college players are going to get the opportunity to play at other schools. Here in Southern California, if you are a top player, 7-on-7 leagues, Pop Warner, you are going to your goal is to get to a Mater Dei, a St. John Bosco, Servite, Sarah. You're playing at one of the top schools when you're a freshman. And that's how it is in a lot of other Southern California high school sports. If you are a top player, you're going to the schools that's going to give you the best opportunity to make it to the D1 level or whatever your goal may be. So obviously it's very important for USC to establish that pipeline with St. John Bosco. So this will be a key guy to look for as we move forward.
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Fight On. We have USCJ in the chat. You guys, if you haven't checked them out, search up USCJ. If you want data, he has daily content, so he's pumping it all the time. So make sure you're checking out his channel, you guys, if you haven't done. I noticed in the chat, a lot of you guys already know, so I'm not breaking any news there. So thanks for stopping by, Jay. And then also the one, the only, Tony Altimore. Thank you for being here. Our third amigo. He's got some other endeavors he's working on right now, but we're trying to rope him in maybe for 1 or 2 episodes in the near future. So we will have Tony back hopefully sometime soon. So speaking of recruits, we also had some news on Dylan Raiola. It's not very new. It kind of broke when we were on last Sunday, but there's a lot of momentum with crystal balls going towards USC from 247. Rick, do you want to talk a little more about Dylan Raiola?
Well, yeah, Tim, I think we're going to talk about, I think we kind of prepped, is this running back U? Is USC running back U? Used to be running back U. Obviously no longer. The game has changed, and it's all about the quarterback, and USC's had a number of great quarterbacks, but now with Lincoln Riley, he's at a different level. Obviously, it's been discussed ad nauseum about his previous Heisman winners. But you look at the quarterback room now with what we have with obviously Caleb, Miller Moss, Malachi Nelson coming from Los Al, and now there's a possibility of Dylan Raiola coming to USC. It's going to play out all year long, but that's going to be a key recruiting battle because it's going to be between us, Nebraska, and I believe Georgia. And if you take a look at what that means to a USC and what that means to Nebraska, that is huge. I think, obviously Nebraska would love to have him. His dad is a legend at the University of Nebraska. Matt Rule, this would be a big get for them. 2024 recruit when USC and UCLA are coming to the Big Ten. So this is going to be a battle. It's going to be all year long, but I feel confident that USC, is going to be is going to land this young man. Be very surprised if they don't. It'd be in his best interest to see what's happening with Caleb Williams, look at the success he can have, and what Lincoln Riley's done with quarterbacks. But ultimately, it's his decision. I think if he comes to USC, fantastic. If he doesn't, hey, we move on. But it'll be an interesting recruiting battle to see moving forward. What are your thoughts, Tim?
Well, yeah. Remember, it's really important to get that first guy. Like right now, we only have one recruit from a tight end. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name from Oregon. And so we usually, when you want to build your class, you're usually going to build it around a top player, and usually that's usually a quarterback, right? I remember a while back when Helton was a lame duck coach, and there was this kid named Bryce Young, and he came on. And he was trying to build a recruiting class, but no one wanted to hop on. I was wondering why, because everyone was saying, "Hey, you see that coach? He's not going to be here in a year." Well, they were wrong by a couple of years, but eventually he was gone. So you want to have that guy in your class who's going to start pulling guys in, right? Pulling the big name guys on, going to all the 7-on-7s, going to all the tournaments, on Twitter, and just trying to bring in guys to the class. And I'm thinking if they get this Dylan Raiola commitment, he could be that guy in his class. I don't know yet if he's he's that charismatic guy that's just going to go out there and start grabbing people, but he definitely could be the marquee name that could be the anchor for this class to really get it jump started. So I'm excited. So he went out to Nebraska. They showed him, right? They rolled the red carpet, and they had him at the basketball game. Let's just face it. I go to every basketball game, and we're not the loudest bunch. We got some passion in there, but there's not some empty seats, whatever. That place is packed. They're screaming his name. He's also going to visit Georgia, I believe. So it's not done. But I do like the way these guys, they're usually these guys like Steve Wilfong and Blair Angulo, Greg Biggins. Those guys aren't wrong very often. So I'm really hoping that this is positive news, and he could be that guy that will be the mouthpiece of this year's class. So speaking of quarterbacks,
first off, I want to give an assist to USCJ. He mentioned that one recruit we do have, the tight end, is Joey Olson.
That's it. Thank you. Joey Olson, tight end from
USCJ.
Tight end from Oregon. That's awesome. Rick, did you have anything else for me?
I think we pretty much covered. We got Gentry. We got we covered Dylan Raiola, and we covered Lockhart. So I think you have a question up there. Is tailback you, running back you? What were your thoughts on that?
That's for a little later. I just threw it as a teaser when you're going there. I just want to throw a teaser out there. That's coming later on. We're gonna have a little segment about that in a little bit after we talk about the quarterbacks. But I thought you had a question for me. I appreciate Jay, but did you have a question for me?
The number 20? Was that the question?
Yeah, you asked me about 20 beforehand, and I think I got close. I got on the second guess, right? I said Mike Garrett, and then I said Darnell Bing.
Yeah, I was thinking of Darnell Bing, and I can't believe it's been 20 years, but I remember Darnell Bing when we opened up in Auburn, and speaking of schools, Long Beach Poly has been very, very good to USC. There were several recruits that were in that class, and Darnell Bing was a freshman. And for those of you Trojans that remember the Pete Carroll era, or even older than that, but that game was huge. It was the buildup, and he was a freshman. And the first part of the game, he had an interception, and shoe came off, intercepted the ball, set it up for Matt Leinart. Matt Leinart's first game happens to be at Auburn, War Damn Eagle. And it was blazing that day. I was in the stands with my wife and a bunch of friends, and Matt Leinart throwing to big Mike Williams, TD, his first in USC, his USC career, first of many. But that number 20 was huge. What are your thoughts on Darnell Bing? And that was Pete Carroll's second year. Actually, was that his second? That was his third year. He started off, we finished 6-6. And then the next year we played Auburn at home. We beat them 24-17. They went to the Orange Bowl, beat Iowa. This was his third year. We're looking at Lincoln Riley's second year. But the defense from the second to third year, Tim, was off the chain. It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that defense. And they started out. They had the Wild Bunch 2, and then those guys hung out. I remember I was just watching actually recently. I was watching that Auburn game. You know, you got Nazell, BKU, right, and it was just, it grew to good. I mean, it was just these part of those nasty early defenses that really set the stage for USC's dominance, because that's what everyone remembers. You know, Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, but you know, when I honestly think about those games, like I think that game in Auburn I just talked about, that was a shutout. You know, late in the game, it was like 16-0, but it was really the defense which is absolutely shutting down, gassing their defense, because their offense couldn't stay on the field. And I'm one of the announcers. I made the comment about the fact that, you know, the guys on their hands on their hips. It's because the running game just started taking over, and they probably could have scored 20 touchdowns in a row the way they were moving the ball towards the end, because that Auburn defense was absolutely exhausted. So, yeah, Darnell being, I'll probably blow the story, but I remember the story I heard that Mike Garrett told. Iron Mike's like, you know, I heard this kid wants my number. Is he good? And then he asked me, yes, Pete, is he good? And then Pete's like, yeah, he's good. He's really good. And so he said, give him the number. So that started something here at USC. And, you know, we'll see if the numbers get unretired in the future like that. Like we've seen. And I really do like the fact that the Jackrabbits, you said it earlier, you know, Long Beach Poly has, you know, guys like Willie McGinnis. I'm going to start because I'll leave a lot out. So many teams. We need to build these programs again, where we're getting all the Poly kids, where we're getting all the modern day kids, we're getting all the Bosco kids, we're getting all the Centennial kids. We got to get these powerhouse Southern California programs to send their kids these pipeline like we had in the past. That's how we get those defenses like Pete Carroll had. So yeah, I'm really excited about what the future might bring, as long as we keep getting guys like that. So with that, go ahead. We can move on into game time. And so you kind of went over a little bit. You said spring practice. You know, so we're gonna be a gap here in spring practice news for a while, right? They're not going to be starting up again until when, Rick? Next Tuesday, you said?
Tuesday the 21st. They come back from spring break.
Yeah, and so there's probably not a lot of news. Have you heard anything recently based on, you know, their absence? Their last one was before the weekend, correct? Or was it Saturday?
It was, I believe it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
Okay. So really no news.
No real news. I mean, they're taking a look at you know, a bunch of, you know, we really don't know. I think the one thing that we did hear is Lincoln Riley had a press conference, I believe, after Tuesday's practice, and you know, he's basically saying that the defense is going to get better, you know, and I that you know, the reasons that he has is the quality of players. Right here, you have coaching continuity. I think that's a big thing that doesn't get recognized. You look at, like, for instance, I think there was Lincoln Riley mentioned there was a number of coaches that were contacted on his staff, but nobody left. That's a big plus, because there's something that's building here at USC, and the coaches know it, the players know it, the fans know it, and it's just going to take a little time. Take a look at a program that's on the rebound as well, and that's Miami. You know, they had some good recruiting classes with Cristobal, first when he arrived, and then this last recruiting class. But look what happened to his coaches. He lost, I believe, 3 coaches, including Gaddis, the offensive coordinator. He lost Kevin Steele, who I believe went to Alabama, and he lost the defensive coordinator, assistant defensive coordinator. I think it was Charlie Strong. So that's not a good look for Miami when they're trying to get back in the season they had. That didn't help as well. So look at what USC has with their coaching continuity. You got to love Sean Nua. And Sean Nua is going to have a job, because they're going to be looking at, you know, they've had some changes in terms of, I think Corey Foreman, I believe, is going to have his hand in the dirt. He's moving from rush end. But they're going to have a lot of changes, and I'm sure during spring ball they're going to be looking at who's going to be playing D line, who's going to play rush end, who's going to be able to be a defensive end. So there's a lot of guys that are out there, and I think a lot of questions are going to be answered, and there's going to be a lot of competition. And so, and not only that position, but all positions, because I think Lincoln had mentioned it's not going to be, last year was last year. That's not good enough. You can't, what was good enough for last year is totally different this year. And I believe in that. What he's saying is the truth. Let's see if they can execute and, improve this squad. What are your thoughts on, what Lincoln had to say about coaching continuity?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm happy with the fact that, he said this time last year, he was, just trying to build a culture, trying to get everything. There was just so much to do. Now that all that groundwork's been laid, you have the ability to, start working on, a lot of kids have 1 year in the system. I left off Odom, right, and Manning, and I think they're going to have a lot to do this spring and the fall, getting these linebackers. Now they have they have the guys. They get Mason Cobb up to speed. They need to get young Curtis up to speed. They got their hands full, and plus that rush end position. We went over that last week. There are a ton of new studs rolling into that position. I'm going to be really interested to see that. But so we have guys changing positions, but you're able to do that because they know their position, right? They can cross train all these different things because they have a year in the system. So this continuity the staff has, they have another year under Benny Wiley as the strength and conditioning coach. All these things are going to allow them to hit the ball running when fall camp starts, I think. And hopefully the young guys are up to speed. The guys that have changed positions are up to speed. And the fact that there hasn't been coaching turnover is a huge part of that. And it also is a testament to the commitment of these guys that are there. There were offers. These guys did receive offers to go other places, but I believe Riley said that none of them took up on that, and they'll be back next year. So again, I apologize to a number of coaches, but there's there wasn't enough room to put everybody in there. So we got a lot of the coaches in there. Anything else on continuity, Rick?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I think one of the things that I think will be interesting to look for is that this coaching continuity, the confidence, they know what they need. They know it when they see it, and we're gonna find out during the year. We're gonna where did this guy come from, right? They're gonna be nuggets, right? It's like, I'll just give you an example. Tackett Curtis. This guy's going to step up, kind of like as I brought up with Darnell Bing 20 years ago, right? Kid's a freshman, but you knew that kid could play. There was 5 guys, the Poly 5, right? We got 4 of those recruits. Mercedes Lewis went to UCLA. But Tackett Curtis is a kid that can come in and contribute immediately. He's going to be learning side by side with Mason Cobb, Rajon Davis. I really see with Odom, this is an opportunity for the linebacking room to develop. We'll have to see, but coaching continuity, I think, is key. And this is a time for them to step up.
Agreed. And so last week we covered the defense. Today we decided we were going to slide over. There's a lot to cover on the offense, but we were going to start with the quarterback room. So this is this goes up there with some of the better quarterback rooms we've seen. We've had the pleasure of seeing some really nice quarterback rooms in the past, but this one is about as stacked as it gets. Any quick thoughts before we dig deeper into these guys, Rick?
I mean, we're just blessed. There's a number of programs. Their quarterback goes down. They're just totally a different team. Take a look at Oregon State. It actually worked out for them, but there's a number of programs that if their quarterback goes down, they're in a world of hurt. And you take a look at us. Miller Moss is just an amazing young man, and he's waiting his time. And hopefully, he's going to get the opportunity this year. And this is what's going to be key, I think, with this team this year, is that Lincoln Riley is going to have to balance Caleb's playing time, because number one, you want to keep them fresh, you want to keep them healthy, you want to keep them upright. And the way the schedule plays out, the first 6 games, very manageable. The last 6 games and any games after that that USC is fortunate enough to play in are going to be a very big challenge. So you want to rest up Caleb Williams. You want to get Miller Moss some reps, because God forbid something happens to Caleb Williams, he goes down. You want to have Miller Moss getting some reps before the meat of that schedule. And he's capable, and he's going to be in the system for another year. But hey, you got a Heisman Trophy winner back there who's already said he set goals for 5,000 yards passing, 60 TDs. So how do you balance that for the betterment of the team? Because it's building blocks, right? You to reach your goal, you're going to have to manage playing time, injury, making sure you get a lot of reps for not only the quarterbacks, but all the different rooms, to show growth, to provide depth, to create confidence. But that's just a take there. What do you think about the quarterback room and what Lincoln Riley has ahead of him?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Caleb's goals, which are lofty and amazing, and you said no interceptions, right? Which are all, that's why I like the guy. He's like, he said, hey, this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that for a number of reasons. One, like we just discussed last week about the defense. I think his defense can be greatly improved. So we're not going to be getting in 40 to 43, 42 shootouts this year. I do like what you said about the early part of the season. Maybe if this team gels together like we hope and think it's going to, that we will have those opportunities in the second half, fourth quarter for Miller Moss, to get a little bit of practice, right? That's going to be really important, because as we saw with Caleb going down, it would have, to Tony's chagrin, that they didn't bring in Miller Moss. This is no knock on Miller Moss at all, but you have Caleb Williams. But we do need to have an opportunity if we're in a close game like that, conference championship, the Pac-12 championship game, and you pull up with a hamstring, in the second drive of the game. I want to have a guy, because we know that Miller Moss. All last year, I heard Lincoln Riley talk about how great, what a great quarterback he is, how he's picking up the system, doing a great job, etc. I know he's more than capable. He just needs to get that real game experience. And I'm thinking that the first 6 games line up pretty well for him to be able to do that. It's been a problem with the Trojans, for quite a while, that they just don't get their backups in because they're always in these close games. I think that's obviously a product of how poor our defense has been. But as our defense is improving, I think that there's going to be a lot more opportunity for these backups to get in the game. And one of those definitely will be Miller Moss. And then the last guy is Los Alamitos freshman, Gatorade Player of the Year, Malachi Nelson. Apparently, I can't remember. I'm so bad with the memory on this, but I listen to so many podcasts and I read so many articles. But they say he looked all of 6'4", and he looks big. He looks the part. He's filling out. A lot of these guys are going to get older and start shedding that high school body. He's got the arm. He has the resume from the season. I watched him again. I'm going back to his junior year when he played the playoffs against St. John Bosco at St. John Bosco, and he and Lemon just put on a show. They're like a 2-man team, and it was really amazing just to watch with a really good Bosco defense. How he was just, those two were hooking up play after play and trying to fight for a win. They came up short, but I think he's going to have a little bit more talent around him at USC than he had with the Grivens at Los Alamitos. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, and you made a great point too, Tim, about Caleb getting hurt in the championship game, and I had a brain fart there. It would have been helpful if Miller Moss, I was talking about other, we're fortunate to have these great quarterbacks, but Caleb had an injury there, and unfortunately, there wasn't an opportunity at that time for Miller Moss to come in, and because Caleb wanted to stay in. But you have to have some reps for Miller Moss. I think with Malachi Nelson, this kid, looking forward to his career. He just came off, I believe, of labrum surgery, so I don't know how many reps, if anything. He's they're going to be watching him during spring ball. But this kid's got a ton of talent. He's the heir apparent to Caleb Williams when he does leave, and so it's going to take him time to learn the system. But like you're right, I mean, he's got some experience playing at Los Al in a spread offense, Makai Lemon, and he's been very close to the program. He visited USC several times. He's an early enrollee, so you love to see that. So there's nothing but upside for Malachi Nelson. And as we talked about earlier in the podcast, is possibility of getting Dylan Raiola. So USC used to be running back U. It's turning into QBU. And I know that Ohio State has an argument there, but hey, USC, the future looks bright from the quarterback position. It'll be very exciting to see the next several years.
Just really quickly, Joe, if UCLA had left, where were they going to go? UCLA, the Big Ten wasn't picking up UCLA by itself. It wasn't like UCLA was going to go and USC was going to be left behind. I'm not sure where you're getting your information, but that was like a 0% chance of that one happening. 0% chance of that happening.
Well, let's give Joe the benefit of the doubt. It is basketball season, and so he's got his baby blue Bruin and powder yellow, basketball mind going. But football drives the bus. USC drives Southern California, the West Coast, and we'll be back on top of the nation once in a very short order here.
Yeah, and so then you brought it up. We've talked about it a little bit. People throw on running back U, but here in Southern California, right? We talked about tailback U. We have been blessed, in my opinion, with the best running backs. I mean, I started to pull up pictures of everybody. I just kind of stopped at our Heisman winners and Ricky Bell. But I mean, I left off all the peak, running, the Lendale White. We've had, Chauncey Washington. I was watching that game again. I keep going back to that Auburn game because I just watched it yesterday. And Chauncey Washington was just gashing that defense. And he's a guy, we have Ricky Irvins going back into the 90s. I can just think of so many all Pac-12 running backs and great tailbacks over the years that I hear Georgia thrown around once in a while because they talk about their NFL guys and things. But, they had that Herschel guy. He was pretty good. But I'm talking about the sheer number of guys that we've had come through onto Howard Jones Field and practice for the Trojans. It is just a filthy, how many guys and the quality. I mean, think about this. We have, we have just on this picture, you're looking at the 5 Heisman guys, right? And you begin to wonder, what other program even comes close to that? So, Rick, what do you think about Tailback University? I don't want to make anybody get sick because I'm so happy about talking about tailbacks at USC. But what do you think about our chances of anyone else being tailback U over us?
Yeah, that's. I don't think there's a doubt that USC has had a number of quality running backs. It was running back U, always will be. The legends that played here. I don't know if I should drop this right now, but I had dinner with a good friend and another former Trojan this past Thursday night, and I probably want to let him talk about the story. I'll let him break it. I'll let him talk about it. But I heard stories of some legends that were recruited that almost came to USC. And well, what the heck? I'll just say it right now. We've had him on our show, friend of the show, John Jackson. Okay, his dad used to coach the running backs at USC, and he coached Marcus Allen and Charles White, 2 Heisman Trophy winners. And JJ was telling me that when he was a kid, he was at that Rose Bowl, Charlie White, 79, where he went over the top. And USC came from behind and won that Rose Bowl. He was sitting in the stands with Eric Dickerson. His dad was
Oh.
was recruiting Eric Dickerson to go to USC. He also was recruiting at one point Herschel Walker. It was between USC and Georgia for Herschel Walker, and he didn't. The distance was too much. And then I'm sure everybody's heard about Eric Dickerson's recruiting. Choose to believe it or not, but he ended up at SMU. But can you imagine that? That tells you the power of USC and the running back tradition at that time when Eric Dickerson and Herschel Walker were potentially going to become USC Trojans. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
well,
say. I can't say anything else. That pretty much tells you.
Well, I mean, if you remember Ricky Williams as well. I mean, Ricky Williams, was there was a chance he was going to come play for John Robinson. I mean, it just shows you the power and the draw. And I'm hoping with this offense we're going to start to get this. We're not going to lose the tailbacks. I mean, think about all those tailbacks from Southern California and Northern California that have gone on to help teams either contend for or win national championships. It's kind of painful to watch, and I hope we're seeing a recruiting shift in that. I'm trying to pull up. I just had it. Give me 1 second.
We'll have JJ. JJ said he'd love to come back on the show. We'll have him on the show. He can tell some other stories that he was sharing that night. But it was a great dinner, and he says to say hello to everybody, and he's doing well.
Yeah, that's the first JJ. We know JJ3 and JJ the second, but we don't know the dad who was there in the 70s. I was trying to pull up the picture. I've seen this picture a while ago, but that's one hell of a Trojan family that we've been lucky to have at USC. So I hope we all appreciate them. So, all right.
Let's
well,
talk about our running backs.
Well, if we're going to talk running backs, because this has been something that, has been kind of weird. Speaking of tailbacks, Reggie Bush, Rick, Reggie Bush still doesn't have his Heisman back. I thought last week I made it really, really clear. You have one job. You literally have one job, Mr. Baker. It's to fix what the NCAA did back coming on like 10, 13 years ago. Well, yeah, 13 years ago. 4,746 days ago, you guys or your predecessors decided to take this man's trophy away from him, right? I think this year would be a great time because on November 11th, 2023, on a Saturday, it'll be 5,000 days since this man lost his Heisman, and I think that 5 is a pretty significant number. So I'm thinking we could have a big party at the Coliseum November 11th on the 5,000th day of this travesty for the NCAA to fix things and make it right. So that trophy, they said he tarnished the trophy. I'm going to flip it around. The fact that, in my opinion, one of the greatest tailbacks, in history that ever played this game, he's up there with any of those guys in Heisman House or anything you want to talk about as tailbacks. And he doesn't have his Heisman trophy. USC does have 8 trophies. I hear USC now starting to say more momentum. They're talking about it. They said the fact that, they need to read the Heisman Trust hid behind the fact that Reggie Bush, the games, the stats were taken away. Well, how is he in the College Football Hall of Fame? So that's another step you got that's going towards him getting his trophy back. Rick, any thoughts on these screw ups over in Indianapolis and what they're doing with Reggie Bush's trophy?
Well, I think you said it perfectly, Tim. I mean, that would be amazing. November 11th, is that like the 5,000th day without having the trophy? That I believe that game is going to be at the Coliseum. I think that's against Washington, or are we on the road that week against Oregon?
I should have peeked. I did not peek.
Those games are, they could give it to him too when we play UCLA. At home.
What? Maybe if it is up in Oregon at Autzen, maybe Phil Knight can come on his duck motorcycle out onto the field like he did that one time with Reggie's trophy and hand it to the trophy to Reggie. What do you think, Rick? Is that a good idea?
I think that's a great idea, but hell will freeze over before that ever happens at Autzen Stadium. But hey, man, I love that your glass is half full. But yeah, Oregon is no way. There's
haters, I know.
Piss and vinegar are going to be raining from the skies up at Autzen in that last game. But hey, it's a matter of time as we keep on moving forward. it makes more and more sense to give Reggie the trophy back. Charlie Baker, um, the new NCAA president, if you want to come out and hit a couple singles, just some gimmies, give them back the trophy. And that can make everybody forget about Mark Emmert, at least from the USC perspective, and that's a do good because everybody knows that all the great games he had. Everybody saw it; it was fantastic. And college football has changed; it's NIL, and we don't need to go through it anymore. But hit a single, Charlie Baker, and give him back the trophy.
Yeah, it'll go a long way. We'll never forget names like Missy Conboy and Mark Emmert and Paul D. We will never forgive or forget these people, but they can go a long way at letting everyone know that one of the greatest running backs in history deserves this trophy back. But let's talk about the guys that are trying to add another, maybe a sixth Heisman Trophy at tailback. We have got a list here. The guys coming in. We have Austin Jones returning, Marshawn Lloyd coming over from South Carolina. And Raleigh Brown coming back from last year from Mater Dei. Darwin Barlow, transfer from TCU, we got that one beautiful play when he smashed through in the end zone against UCLA. Then you have two guys from Texas, 4-star running backs, Quentin Joyner and Marion Peterson. Talking about a stacked quarterback room, how does that running back room sound, Rick?
Reloaded. That's how it sounds. Congrats to Travis Dye. I love watching Travis Dye. Hope he gets picked up by a team in the upcoming NFL draft. And I love the way that USC restacked this running back room. And it all starts, again, what we talked about earlier, Tim, and that's coaching continuity. Kyle McDonald is a phenomenal running back coach, and we picked him up when he came from Utah. I was so stoked because now we're going to be legit. And we're gonna have a room that's developed with running backs. I like Marshawn Lloyd, what he brings to USC. He brings a toughness. This kid is 5'9", about 212. He's going to be a junior. He missed some games because of a thigh contusion, but this guy is a rock. He carried the ball in 9 games last year, 111 carries, 573 yards, about 5.2 yards a carry. He had 9 TDs. He can also catch the ball out of the backfield. He had 18 receptions for about 176 yards and 2 TDs. Very similar numbers to Austin Jones. Austin Jones had about 705 yards rushing. He got more carries, as you remember, as the season went on, when Travis Dye got hurt in the Colorado game. And he balled out. And Austin had also 5.2 yards a tote. And 5 TDs, and he caught the ball in the backfield as well for 267 yards. And he had 1 TD, about 10 yards a clip. Marshawn Lloyd catching the ball for about 9 yards a clip as well. So those guys are going to provide you some much-needed carries. I think you're going to see Lincoln Riley really create some more opportunities for Raleigh Brown. I think with Raleigh Brown, you saw it during the games. Hey, he's electric. He's going to make some great plays, but he's got to learn to do the fundamentals, the blocking when you don't have the ball. Are you sacrificing, you following the game plan for your team, for your offense, for your quarterback? So he's going to have to learn the little details in the offseason because that's important. Not only, hey, if you're not getting the ball, you got to sell the play. Sell the play if you're not getting the ball. So, but Raleigh Brown is going to be dynamic. You put that guy in space, and he's going to continue to develop. And then we'll see what happens with the 2 guys, the 2 high school recruits from Texas, Quentin Joyner and Marion Peterson. I'm sure they're going to learn. They're going to learn the system. But I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with Darwin Barlow. You mentioned it, Tim. Darwin Barlow carried the ball like a man against UCLA. He was just, he had 2 or 3. I think it was like he had 1 catch and then it was a run where a critical part of the game. And so he's a mystery guy. What are your thoughts on what they're going to do with Darwin Barlow? I'd love to see him carry the ball more.
You guys remember that play at the goal line? He knocked that guy back like a bowling pin, ping, and then he went into the end zone. It was It was amazing. Speaking of carrying the ball like a man, oh shoot, where'd it go? Here we go. Yes, don't forget about Anthony Davis, the Trojan, the Notre Dame killer. Yeah, AD. Listen, my dad's told me stories. My dad was at that 74 game, and I'm remiss in not bringing him. We could talk forever. There is just a list of tailbacks that have come through USC over the years that I'm just blanking out on. I try to do as many as I could off the top of my head. That's what I'm saying. That's why we are tailback U. We just have been so blessed with the running backs that we've had over the years that it's hard to name them all. And then coming back to what you said about this year's running backs, I really am very interested in Marshawn Lloyd. I've watched it, but my worry here is this, Rick. Tell me if I'm off on this one. Tell me where I'm flawed in this logic. Because I saw him in the SEC, running like a man against a Georgia defense, against a pretty good Kentucky defense. But what is he going to do when he faces a stout UCLA defense or Colorado or Arizona's run game defense? What's going to happen to Lloyd then, Rick? That's what I want to find out.
I think Marshawn is going to have some great success in the Pac-12. Maybe that was a reason why he came. He came to the Pac-12.
Right? Licking his chops.
You could be electric in Lincoln Riley's offense. I mean, going from USC Junior to the USC University, the one that has won national championships, who has Heisman trophies. On the other side of the Mississippi River, they call that USC. And so that's why they refer to us as Southern Cal, because there's this USC over there. I'm not going to belabor the controversy, but win a significant game, and then you can even get in the debate with us. So I'm looking forward to seeing Marshawn Lloyd really add another layer to next year's offense, because it's going to be on fire. And you talk about coaching continuity. I'll leave you with this. And I want to get your perspective. Maybe I'm crazy on this, Tim. But if you go back to Pete Carroll's second year, okay, this is going to be Lincoln Riley's second year. He had a great quarterback, Pete Carroll and Norm Chow, more specifically Norm Chow, because he was the offensive coordinator. But you had a Carson Palmer 1 year in the system, and then he was going to be a senior his last year. And Carson Palmer was hurt during his career. He hadn't been really producing. And so Norm Chow had the opportunity there again, coaching continuity, and Carson Palmer had the year that he had. I think USC's offense went from scoring like some 17 points a game in 2001 to scoring over 25 points a game. They took a significant leap, and USC went from 6-6 to 11-2. And Carson Palmer beat down UCLA and Notre Dame. He took that shillelagh and he ran it all the way to New York and turned it in for a Heisman Trophy. And then USC played in the Orange Bowl and pretty much took care of those Corn Boys from Iowa. I think it was 38-17. We all know it was like 38-10. It wasn't even that close. But, can we see significant improvement from Lincoln Riley's, the defense this year? That would be a blessing. But from what you can see, so I guess coaching continuity, that is my question, Tim, is can USC's defensive side of the ball, the coaches on the defensive side of the ball, can we see an improvement overall, jumping from year one to year two?
Yeah, I would have to say with the upgrades at pretty much all three levels, as we discussed, there's very little chance that we're going to be worse. My question is going to be, or even the same. I know we're going to improve, but how much are we going to improve by? I think I said last week that, can you imagine this offense with a top 30 defense? I don't think they can improve that much. But let's just say they get within the top 50. Again, with the same coaching staff, a lot of players returning, huge upgrade at linebacker, getting Zion Branch hopefully back. Everyone else, let's say positions, another year in the system. Kalen Bullock, we know is going to be a stud back there. I think that it could be a good defense with all that continuity. But this is Alex Grinch's year. He's been under the gun a lot. One thing I told you very early on, Rick, was the fact that I have a hard time. People keep hitting, saying, "God, this guy's terrible. Fire him." But you look at the guys that have hired him. The guys that have hired him, the three of the best offensive minds that you can think of. You had Urban Meyer, and then you have Mike Leach, the Pirate. You had Mike Leach. Then you had Urban Meyer, and now you have Lincoln Riley. Those are three pretty good guys that know how to run offense. And for them to say, "Hey, I like you as a defensive coordinator," they must be seeing something in him. And what happened in Oklahoma happened in Oklahoma. I'm not doubting that you can recruit really good players, defensive players, because they have in the past. And this recruiting cycle, they did very well again. But I'm wondering if that staff could hire those kind of players at Oklahoma. I'm hoping that staff can hire those kind of guys at USC, and then that will be the difference down the road. And they're showing that they can do that, by recruiting the guys like Shelby, right, last year. So I think we will be pulling in difference makers and Tackett Curtis. If that happens, then yeah. And if we can make this a top 50 defense, I think we're contending. I didn't say anyone out there freaking out. I didn't say we're winning the playoffs. I'm saying we're contending and possibly competing in the playoffs. And then really quickly, before we move on, Todd Gwynn, a huge supporter of Mark Rogers and our show. He is the East Coast USC. He's a Gamecock fan. He says Lloyd is a really good running back. Takes a few players to get him down. As long as he stays injury-free, he'll be a baller for the Trojans. And I was joking, obviously, about the Kentucky and Georgia defenses. He's going to have a field day, I believe, if he stays healthy in the Pac-12. Well, so I dropped and that's a key link into the chat. Was that Rick?
I was going to say that's what's key. And Todd, thanks a lot for the 411 on Marshawn. And I appreciate you supporting Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football channel. But yeah, what Marshawn brings is depth. Even if we didn't have Marshawn Lloyd transfer, I would have been very comfortable with having Rayleigh Brown, Austin Jones, Darwin Barlow, and the two high school recruits. But the fact that you get somebody like Marshawn Lloyd, that adds a different element. It adds more depth, and it's exciting to see. So I look forward to seeing that young man next year.
All right. So the show is wrapping up. We're coming up on the top of the hour. We have some. It's not like the post-game show. I guess this show, everyone's a little bit shy. So feel free. Again, you do not need to have your camera on if you want to join us to ask us questions. We'll do our best to answer you. Or if you just want to brag about a player position that you're really happy to see, please call in. Let us know. If you're someone from a different team and you have some questions about USC, also, this is your opportunity if you have a question. But with that, I'm going to pop a couple questions up here for you, Rick.
Let's do it.
A couple of them I'm interested. I want to see your reaction to them. Let's see. So this first one. Who was your breakout player of the year on offense, not named Caleb? And I guess, and on defense.
All right. Why don't I do offense and you want to do defense? We'll split it up.
Well, you can do an offense and a defense, and I'll do an offense and defense.
All right. Breakout players of the year on offense, not named Caleb, and on defense. I'm going to say Zach Branch. That kid is electric. Wide receiver out of Bishop Gorman. His brother Zion was injured last year. He's a safety. But I'm going to say Zach Branch. That kid is very talented, versatile, athletic, strong, and he was made for this program. So freshman, he's going to be the breakout player. And on defense, I think I said it on the first show, but there's a young man who I think he's been moved to defensive line, Devin Tompkins. He's out of Stockton. He's a sophomore. He was basically just learning the playbook and working out and lifting weights last year. He put on 30 pounds. He's 6'5", I think 260 now, but it's a player that I think the coaching staff is real excited to see what happens with him. This is a player that I think is going to get some playing time, and you're going to be like, wow, who is that guy? So those are my two. One that's kind of obvious, one not so.
Yeah. Yeah, I was worried. I thought you were going to get me. So yeah, I'm with you on offense. I think Zach Branch, the number one wide receiver in the country in high school last year, who is a Trojan, who is, I guess he's like a Reggie Bush and the wide receiver position, just has different level speed. You see him running. He's like one of those guys, you see him running. It looks like everyone's running in slow motion. He's just so quick and so fast with track speed. He's going to be an absolute pleasure to watch. And then on the other side, I'm going to go with his brother, Branch. My answer is Branch. I think Zion Branch is just that guy we talked about last week. He's just that USC safety, right? He's not as big as a Taylor Mays. He's not that build, but he's a big dude, and he's athletic. He has athleticism for days. Clearly, they have the bloodlines being related to the Raider great Cliff Branch. So I can't wait to see the Branch brothers just tear up the Pac-12 this year. Joe Long again. Joe, bottom line is wrong that you are leaving the pack. I don't want to go too long on this, Rick. Let me just hit it really fast. Pac-12, you left us no choice but to leave. You absolutely did not support USC when the NCAA came after USC. They clearly had an agenda. We don't have the time on this show to do that. Hopefully one day, Rick, we can go over, exactly, because so many people out there don't really even realize what happened. Yes, the benefits that the Bush family did get were impermissible. I get all of that. That still has never been proven. I'm not going to go there to try to litigate that. But the sanctions that USC received were just absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that the Pac-12, not the commissioner, none of the teams stood up for USC. And you guys all want equal sharing, and where you have an LA market splitting with the Pullman market. It's just things like this that led to the inevitable. And so we're seeing right now what's going on in the Pac-12. You have to ask yourself, is it USC fault that USC is leaving, or is it the Pac-12's fault for the officiating, for the scheduling on Thursday night games? You have the number one team in the nation. You're sending people up to, on a weekday, you're sending people up to Corvallis. I think that it was the Pac-12 is the reason why USC is leaving. Any thoughts, Rick?
I mean, you hit it. It's basically, Joe, it's Larry Scott. He had a decade of incompetence. Repeat after me. Larry Scott was the head of the Women's Tennis Association. Women's Tennis Association. Okay. He had no clue about college football. He wanted parity. And guess what? He got parity. Okay. Congrats to Oregon. Congrats to Utah. Fantastic. That's great. But college football is a business, a multi-billion-dollar business. Look what just happened with the TV contracts with the SEC and the Big Ten. Okay. It's business, not personal. It's business. And USC is a cash cow for the Pac-12. USC built the PCC. It built, and my kudos to Tony Altimore, who is a Pac-12 historian. They built the Pac-8. They built the Pac-10. They built the Pac-12. And when you don't treat your cash cow in a business, well, guess what? You don't treat them with respect, they will look elsewhere. Would the SEC commissioner treat Alabama the way USC was treated? Okay, doesn't matter if you're a fan of USC or not. But this is the only team the rest of NCAA football respects and fears, because when USC is on top and is rolling, it has the potential to win national championships. So the reason why USC moved and brought little brother UCLA with them, it was a business decision. We'll be making $70 million a year versus scratching for $30 million here in the Pac. What is it now? 10. San Diego State can go ahead and give you the Southern California market, and supposedly you're going to get SMU, but that's the reason. It was a business decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And just we're closing out a couple more comments regarding the NCAA. We'll get to the basketball. Gixer here says the irony is both the NCAA and media leverage Reggie's NIL today for pre-game coverage and insight. So he's he's the face of college football on Fox. He's there and he's being heard. And I do just find the fact that we're cherry picking who violated what and the way they came after USC. I'm not going to go over that again. And then one more, Daniel Henry telling us about the coach over at MSU at Michigan State. Spartan coach Tom Izzo is a crybaby. Beat their ass Trojans. We're gonna try. Hopefully we can find the basket this time. Hopefully we can get some of those 50-50 balls and some rebounds. Hopefully we're not sloppy with the ball. I'm hoping that that Peterson gets healthy because we need him. He's a much maligned player on the team, but and he does a little bit of everything and he does it well. And if he's on, I think our tournament run will go how healthy he is. I think we can rely on the emergence of White. I like what he's doing on the boards. I like what he's doing shooting. I don't know why he's not getting more looks, but Boogie is going to will us. We know he's going to put up the points. Will Peterson be healthy? Is going to be a big question. And Vince, I mean, I don't. Does anyone know? Rick, you know what's going on with Vince? I haven't even paying attention. Is he going to be back for the tournament?
I don't know. I whatever you can get out of Vince is a bonus, but really, you have to have Boogie Ellis hitting threes. I don't know if you can count on Peterson, like you mentioned, he's injured, but it's good to see Trey White. He's been having some good games. I like Kobe Johnson, the game he has. Yeah. He's got to watch out for getting into foul trouble. But the USC hasn't had the best last 8 games of the season, and so I don't know what you're going to get. But the season is now. But I would have to imagine you're going to get a lot of Boogie Ellis because as he goes, if that guy can get hot, then it seems like everybody else feeds off of him, and we go from there.
All right. Well, we got a call coming. Robbie Latham. Robbie, thank you for joining us. Welcome back.
Fine. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, Rob. What's happening, man?
Yeah, this thing I set the thing. So you guys got a little sidetracked just last week and got into story time when we should have been discussing the defense. As far as what you guys talked about earlier in the running back position, and I saw Tim, you put it up on the screen. And I've got this from, or Rick, I don't know. Do you guys sit in the stands or are you guys on the field? Because I've had people on the field all tell me they get to the line. Caleb looks over at Riley. Riley looks at the defense, looks at him, gives him the go ahead or whatever they sing, go ahead, and they switch. That's why the plays were so late at Oregon State. And if you watch TV, you can see Riley's feet pretty much parallel with wherever Caleb is. Now, in those sets, you don't know if it's a run or pass at the line of scrimmage. The line doesn't know, meaning you can't have Raleek Brown or anybody who's a question blocking back there at all, because if it's a pass, you get Caleb killed, the season's over. So they won't even have him in. So that's a big issue. And I've always kind of, we look, you guys were just discussing Reggie, our pride and this, I don't want to talk Heisman stuff. Whatever. Yeah. I look at this, the career touchdown leader of USC is Lindell White with 99. And quite frankly, he should have had about 120 because I can think of about 10 just off the top of my head. Like, yeah, that's nice, Reggie, but, that should have been Lindell's carry. And and I've always been disliked the thing. I remember Joe McKnight, get him on the field. Rojo, get him on the field. Now Raleek Brown, get him on the field. And I don't think you understand that these guys are one play away from breaking your season. Lawrence Phillips ended Steve Young's career. That fullback from Dallas, I forget his name, ended Troy Aikman's career because they didn't know their pass pro assignment and blew it, and they got killed. And well, now they have rules to protect against that stuff. So with that, I just for people screaming for Raleek Brown or why isn't he in? I assure you that's why he's not in.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think that's Lincoln Riley said as much in his press conference is that if he wants to get on the field, get more playing time, he has to do the little things. And that's exactly right, Robbie, is that he's got to learn how to block. Those are the little things that will keep you on the field. And I'm sure that he's going to be doing his part to understand the playbook, understand the different looks and what's expected of him. And he learned a lot of that, I would imagine, with Travis Dye. Travis Dye was big on the details. So, between that and another year in the playbook, and the coaching staff, specifically Lincoln Riley, demanding it. If he wants to be in there and not just be a decoy, he's got to learn how to block. So I agree with you 100%. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, earlier someone popped in the chat, right? The no blocky, no Rocky. I mean, that whole thing. But also no blocky, you don't get Caleb knocked out. I totally agree with you on that. And then with the Lendale White thing, man, can you imagine if he had come back? It would have been if he. I think it didn't work out for him. I just wish he could have come back. That would have been he could have set all. He could have made pushed that record out so far. No one would ever catch it. So, great Trojan, another back. I think I brought him up when we were talking about great backs because I can't forget him. Thunder and Lightning. That was just an amazing backfield to watch.
It was actually him behind Rick. Sorry, it was Lindell, but not behind Rick's thing. The 55-19. They didn't scout him at all, and they went to a 3-5, which everyone plays now. The scout Reggie, and left the middle of the thing wide open. And Deuce Latouille, they moved their whole line, and Lindell just ran. And I remember those idiots thought he was a fullback, but nothing. We went on I know that everyone from 20 different ways is going to discuss defense and this thing and what thing. And I'm with you guys. Grinch is not the problem. And I like I said, I've really kind of looked at this, and I'm at a place now where I think we just might have a very, very weird situation, kind of a freak thing, where we just happen to have 9 guys on the field that managed to get somehow this far without being able to tackle. Because I don't know how you get to this level to get down a Division I scholarship and errors like that. And I got news for you. They're not going to learn how to over a spring practice with the child floaty help things over their helmets. You're not going to learn that in off season.
I would tell you, be careful, Guy. Be careful. I haven't said that he is the problem. I haven't said he's not the problem. I think he has to prove it this year, because I gave him his flowers and said, hey, look, you've got 3 great offensive minds that are backing him and hiring him, but he has not yet had that great defense. And when at Washington State, we can say, okay, you're at Washington State. And that the irony is his best season probably was when he was with Hercules there at with the Cougs at Washington State. But since then, he has yet to field a really overwhelming, defense that's going to stop guys, get them off the field, and just let this offense just pound the points. So until he does that, he has some accolades, but until he does that, I'm not going to say he's not the problem. I don't think I don't think anyone can say that he is the problem, because it's only year 1. But I certainly would stop short of saying he isn't the problem. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I go, like, for example, a lot of the old SC, and I know Rick will know that they need to get guys like Ray Luga back and like Brian Cushing and one this, and those guys be kicked out of the game before the 3rd snap. And also we've seen that defense, with equal talent. I mean, in 2008, that defense lost to Oregon with equal talent of the offense. This offense beats that power style defense, which is also really just to punish you and let you catch inner stuff, and you'll get sick of it and try to go deep or make a mistake. Great. I think Grinch's thing is like, look, we're going to get a couple turnovers and save our energy, and hopefully they're timely, and we kind of don't give about it. And then Riley's offensive possession is more possessions, more time. The more we're on the field, we're going to outscore you. We just need to make you a couple mistakes. And I hate that. I really do. But I think that's the way the game is going. Like I said, nobody can stop anybody anymore. Alabama gives up 50 points. I don't know. Like I said, to stop it, you can't stop it. They'll kick you out. So I don't know what to, I guess, to get a couple turnovers and and we score every time.
Guy, I'm with you. We're running a little bit out of time here. I think we're going to leave it with this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you'll join us next week. Vlad, by the way, no need to apologize. I know you're apologizing. Your question was great. Please bring him in. But so we will see you next week, hopefully. Any last comment you want to make?
I love you both. I support you. Fight on. God bless you,
too, man.
both,
Fight on.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, man. Catch you next week.
All right. So we're gonna leave it with this. So the Wheeler dealer wants to make sure that we don't let Grinch ruin his Christmas again. I was right there with you. I was in Vegas. He ruined my Christmas as well. No, I'm not gonna do that. You know, a hamstring ruined my Christmas, but I'm right there with you for all the reasons we talked about. I think that we should have a very nice Christmas. Hopefully, we have a top 50 defense, and we should all have a merry Christmas. Rick, any last thoughts?
Hey, man, I'm excited to that we got our second show in the books. Appreciate everybody that's joining us. Had your questions, and looking forward to episode 3 and beyond. So, if you'd like to leave some comments, please do so. We've got some special guests lined up that we're working on during this off season, and can't wait for the Trojans to get back to spring ball and we see this team move on. Tim, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking for a lot of comments. Last week I asked for some comments. I think I'm going to try to have a feature next week. So please leave your comments. I know that we were covering some running backs. You guys brought up some great running backs. If you want to go ahead and put your favorite running back from USC history in there, maybe explaining why, or if we left off some people, I guarantee we left a couple people off. Go ahead and please leave it in a comment. If you have any questions for us, any criticisms, something you might want to see in the future, please leave them in the comments. Again, things like the like button and engagements like that, and leaving comments after the video. If you're watching this not live, but you're watching us recording, if you could just leave us a quick comment, we'd really appreciate it. Our goal here is to bump up this channel, and we already have. We've had last show we had 4 new subs, so we're a little over 3,100 right now. We're trying to get that thing up to 5,000 before the season, so you guys could help us out. We'd appreciate it. But we look forward to episode number 3 coming up next Saturday, same time, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern. And for the rest of the week, we won't have any more training camp news. We'll try to keep a couple good features for you. But everybody, for Rick, I'm Tim, and everybody fight on. We'll see you next week.
Right on. Thank you.